Hello, everyone. Welcome to Project 24. My name is Adrian, and this is Project 24, the fun podcast. I'm going to start with that slogan now. Here's my co-host Jacob, and we got a very special guest today, Mason. How are you doing, buddy? How's everything? How are you enjoying everything right now?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure. Anytime. Yeah, man, it's just how the world is now, so gotta live it how it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
accept it right now, and just at least we have like the sports to keep us happy for a bit, and just family and stuff, right? So we just try to
for
do our
sure.
best, and yeah. So let's get right into this, boys. It's been a really busy week. We were talking about beforehand. So let's start off with man, like on Thursday night, I was at work, and I checked Twitter, and I saw the whole Aaron Rodgers situation there in Green Bay, that they tried to extend him, and he doesn't want to be back. So he said, regardless of if they trade him or not or release him, whatever it is, he's not going to be back. So how do you guys feel about that whole situation? Because I'll weigh in after, but I want to hear your guys' opinions on that.
To be honest, Aaron Rodgers could be better doing Jeopardy. That's all I gotta say.
He's had a great season last year.
Yeah,
Played with a chip on his shoulder because, I think it was Jordan Love, that pick really he was not happy. Like, he was not happy when they made that pick.
yeah,
And I think that, again, that motivated him to like play the way he did. And for years I thought he was like, again, I just thought he was a jackass for the way he kind of conducted himself like that. But honestly, I don't blame him now. Like, I see um like the way they treated him, and the only offensive player they've drafted since 2011, since their last Super Bowl, was Jordan Love. And that's like kind of disrespectful. For years, this guy, they wasted his prime years, and they don't provide him with tools to make him successful, and then just to draft his replacement. Like, I understand why he's upset now, and I don't have those bad feelings towards him now, and like I kind of rooting for him now. So
Definitely.
yeah, man, like that's not a
Um,
way to treat a franchise quarterback like that.
it
yeah,
goes back to with Brett Favre. They did the exact same thing with Brett Favre
yeah.
with
Oh,
Aaron
yeah,
Rodgers.
exactly.
Facts. That's so true.
So
um yeah, go
I
ahead, Mason.
think
Sorry.
that's just how the organization itself is. I mean, if you, like I said, you look at the Brett Favre situation, they did the exact same thing to Brett Favre. He was getting older. I think Brett Favre was about the same age, maybe a little older. But they do. They draft a quarterback the first round, around the same pick, I believe.
Yep.
That's how it goes. And if you look on like Instagram and social media in general, you see a lot of people talking about how the Buccaneers, when they drafted quarterback, I believe it was Trask in the second round, they actually informed Brady, like, this is who's available. We want to make this pick. We want him behind you to learn from you.
Yeah.
So, if you're not informing whoever is the quarterback ahead, or if you're bringing them in for a competition purpose, you still got to inform them. It doesn't matter how good the quarterback is, how poor the quarterback is. It's at the end of the day, it's your job, and they have to look at it from, if I want this position, I still have to compete for it, no matter who I am.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good take. I personally like, for me, yeah, like I can see that being like a motivation. I think it was a kind of a motivation tactic for Aaron Rodgers. And personally, like, again, I just don't get how excuse me, how the Packers can have two like generational quarterbacks like Rodgers and Favre, and only have two Super Bowls to show for it. Like, and just they failed like to build tremendous teams around those guys, and they could have had like a Patriots dynasty for like 30 years, right? Like,
Totally.
from 1990 to like when Brett Favre first played, I think it was 1990, till like now. And like, it's just like, it's insane. Like, I don't know how they failed so hard, to like, just come
And
on.
it's
Fr-
never been the offense that has ever been the problem, however. Like, I saw another thing on social media. It's like an Aaron Rodgers led Packers team has never not scored 20 points in a playoff game. 20
yeah.
points, that's still enough
Wow.
to win you a game in general.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's the defense that's been the problem. yeah, you need weapons, but look, you have Devontae Adams, who was, I believe, second or third round pick. You had, I believe, the running backs, Aaron Jones, if I'm
Yeah.
not
I
wrong.
believe.
So, and he was second, third round as well. It's not been the offense that has been their natural problem. So,
Yeah, that's a tough situation though. The fact that he even said that he was like, nah, like even if like you don't trade me, like I'm not showing up to camp, like that tells you how like disgruntled he is. And I think he's been kind of fed up for a few years now. Like again, I can kind of tell by the way he conducted himself
Yeah.
towards like the media and stuff. And honestly, like I don't blame, like again, I don't blame him. Like it's just frustrating.
I bet you he's not gonna come back to Green Bay after.
Oh,
this
no,
week.
he's done. He's done, buddy. He's
you know,
yeah, go ahead, buddy.
it means something when the quarterback's saying they're willing to retire to not show up to your team.
That's
And
serious.
it's kind of in a similar aspect to Brady. However, Brady, we all know he's going to play until he's like 100 at this point.
Yeah,
This
for
dude's
real.
not going to go away. That means that he's already kind of at the point in his career. He's like, I'm getting down to my last year, 2 years, that I either got to win now or I just might as well give up before trying.
Yeah, because he probably knows actually, not thinks, he knows that it's not going to happen in Green Bay. Obviously not with Tom Brady being in the NFC, and it's just crazy though, like how Green Bay has failed to provide him with a great team like that in like what, like the 13 years Aaron Rodgers has been there. And like
Yep.
it literally took the Buccaneers 1 year to build that great like team around Brady. Like it's just like that he probably saw that and he's like, "Are you shitting me? Like how can they do that in 1 year and you cannot build again the defense and everything else? Like it's crazy, you know?"
If you also look at that Buccaneers team, they always had those pieces. It's just they had a poor quarterback.
Yeah, Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
And when you think about him, he was not supposed to be this poor quarterback either.
Yeah.
He was the first overall pick in 2015. And he last season, well, not last season, 2 seasons, when he was on the Buccaneers, all of a sudden he was playing like how he was supposed to. He just had problems with throwing the ball with interceptions.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of this what you're saying, where he's looking at it as like, well, they just won. He just came in, they won. It's not that exact situation.
True, yeah. They've had good pieces. It's true. Tampa Bay has had like good players. Like Mike Evans has been there for God knows how long, and some other guys too, right? And it just yeah, like that's true. I never thought of it like that. Jameis Winston too. I remember. I think it was the 2019 season, the one before, like obviously before Brady went there. He had, I think, the same amount of touchdown passes as
Yep.
interceptions. Like that's fuck.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it.
That's like a video game, like something
Yeah.
that would only happen in a video game, but
That's
here we
a
are.
shotgun back. Yeah, like that is he led the league in passing yards and interceptions, and I think he had like the same amount as like TD passes too. Like that's nuts.
Yep.
But I think he's gonna be replacing Breeze now in New Orleans, from my understanding.
Oh yeah.
So that I'd give him a chance, honestly. Like he can get the ball down the field. It's just his decisions with the ball is like ball making decisions are just not good. And
Hey,
he can improve.
if Aaron Rodgers decides to retire, he can probably go back to hosting Jeopardy. Who knows?
Yeah. He actually, honestly, he's actually pretty good on that show. I've watched some clips and he's got the personality to be a host. So yeah, who knows? Maybe,
I said if he doesn't host that, he should definitely be a commentator for the NFL.
I
I
agree.
mean, look, Tony Romo's arguably, he might not have been the greatest quarterbacks, but he's a good commentator. Like he knows when things are happening.
Bro, he calls the play right before the snap. Like it's nuts. Like he's got like he's crazy, that guy. Like he'll literally see like, oh yeah, the blitz is coming right there and there, and I'm like, holy crap. And then the play happens and you see it happen and you're like, oh my God. Like he's
Not
like, oh,
just even from an offensive perspective, he like I can't remember what Patriots game it was, but he called the one pass to like Gronk before it ever even happened.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
remember
just
that.
sitting there and I'm like, dude, how can you tell just from the way they're lining up? I can tell the defensive side because that was your job to read the defense as a quarterback.
Yes.
But on the
Yes.
offensive side, you're just sitting there like, well, you know who it's going to basically. It's kind of like, really, man?
Yeah, he's got a crazy way to him. I think he would be a good coach though.
Yeah,
Or like
definitely.
an offensive coordinator or something. That guy, like, or even a head coach again, because he can read defenses like that. And it's nuts, man. That's awesome though. Yeah. So continuing on with the NFL boys, I wanted to go into like the draft the other day.
Yep.
How did you feel like what? I'm sorry, what team do you like, Mason?
Uh, Patriots. I am
Oh, me
Patriots
too,
fan.
buddy. Me
You
too, buddy.
know, I had family from Boston, so it kind of just
Oh,
came through that way. I mean, Patriots pick Mac Jones.
I like
We'll
it.
see how we'll see how it works. I saw a lot of comments on him that he has a lot of flaws. That you
Yeah.
know, it's kind of a risky pick, but it's like you kind of don't need anything else with what you have and what you've gotten from free agency. So that's the thing. I'm shocked Justin Fields slipped so late.
Yeah, me too.
Went down to 11. Uh, I mean, I think it's a good pickup for
Oh,
Chicago.
absolutely.
It's
That's a
kind of
great pick.
like that. It's a Mitch Trubisky kind of pick in the sense that it's high risk, high reward kind of deal.
Yep. I agree.
Um, as we all know, Ohio State quarterbacks usually do not translate well to the NFL.
Yeah,
You
that's
look
what
at
it was.
Jamarcus Russell, big guy that hasn't translated well. Braxton
Yeah.
Miller.
Yeah.
Uh, you have
So
Dwayne Haskins. You have this guy, that guy. Like they just don't
yeah.
transition well for some reason.
Yeah, it's
Um,
man.
I'm
Let's
shocked
let
that. Go ahead, Jacob.
let's see how Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer's like connection goes in Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because Urban Meyer's coaching Jacksonville now. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a great coach, but he was a guy back then that had so much controversy, like with
Yep.
how he handled his players. And then there was a thing with like his like the domestic dispute with like his assistant coach, and like he
Yep.
knew about it and didn't say anything. Like that guy's a great legendary like college coach, but man, he's let a lot of shit slide in the past. Like it so people like don't like him for that, but as a coach, like obviously he is who he is, right? So I think Jacksonville is going to be. I think that
Yeah.
might be their calling. You know, might those two
Who
might
knows?
revive that franchise. Yeah, Pittsburgh got a good pick though, Jacob, in the first round. They got the I can't remember the running back's name. I think
Oh
he
yeah,
played
I
with.
Najee
think I
Harris.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I was like, wow, that's a good pick, man. Pittsburgh knows how to draft.
Uh-huh.
They
Every pick from 1 to 12, 2 to 12 though in the first round, they were questionable picks.
yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
Zach Wilson, that's not who should be number 2.
You don't think so, eh? What about Trey Lance?
Trey Lance, I never really heard of him until about when they were getting in the process of doing the draft. I knew who
Yeah.
Zach Wilson was because he had all this hype around him.
Yeah.
But North Dakota State, yeah, they probably have about the same equal competition as BYU.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes quarterbacks can translate well. Zach Wilson, though, it was only his last season that he actually all of a sudden became this good quarterback.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. It was a senior year kind of thing, and he just
yeah,
kind of shot up. Yeah.
and then like I said, I don't know how Justin Fields went so late.
Yeah,
Um,
that was surprising to me
Oh,
too.
I guess it does have to do with the Ohio State factor, probably. You know, questionable pick
Reputation.
at not that it's a questionable pick at pick 4 for the player himself. Kyle Pitts, arguably the best tight end in the draft,
Yeah.
but the Falcons didn't need him. It was just kind of you're picking who's the best available.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
five, pick 5 is arguably okay. Jamar Chase, he's a good wide receiver.
Yeah.
Uh,
Reunion with Joey Burrow there and
that's
from LSU, right?
that's probably why they took him. So I don't argue with that one as much. You got Jalen Waddle who went 6, which
That was a good
is
pick.
he was
yeah.
out
Definitely.
last season, I believe, if
From what I
I'm not
oh,
wrong.
okay, yeah.
Uh, so he obviously had to have had 2 good seasons prior. But Devontae Smith fell to 10.
Yeah,
reigning
that was a
Heisman.
steal.
That's
That
a
was a
shocking
steal.
pick, and you got Jalen Hurts there now, so
I think that's gonna
be
up.
a good connection.
Oh yeah.
I was honestly the most shocked with Penei Sewell dropping to 7. I believe.
Yeah.
Dude's a great offensive lineman. And if you've seen the videos of how the Lions were when they got him, you can tell they were shocked that he went that late.
The GM was hyped as fuck when they made the pick and they saw he was available. The GM was like jumping up and down. He was like smacking everybody's hands and shit. I was like, yeah, dude,
that's when they got the guy they wanted for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good pick. I remember hearing good things about him. There was one Mekhi Parsons wasn't bad. Dallas Cowboys got him.
I find that a weird pick personally. I guess they took him because Sean Lee retired.
Yeah,
but
pressing a need.
I mean,
they
don't need an offensive tackle. I can see why they don't take him. And you don't have your next best. Everything after basically is offensive tackle, guard, or linebacker up until pick 18. So that kind of pick, it's like you're picking what's best available again.
Yeah, for sure. And the Cowboys, they've had trouble on their defense for a couple of years now. So I think getting a guy like him is gonna definitely gonna help.
And they traded down from pick 10, I believe, to go down to pick 12.
Yeah,
they did.
And I think the reason was because Jace Horn and Pat Surtain went down, and that's where they needed the most help in their cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it's a questionable pick in the sense that it's not their necessarily they need a linebacker. It's just
they
what
picked
was
the best available. Yeah, I honestly though, I was thinking this earlier because my brother's a Cowboys fan and we were talking about this, we talk a lot about sports in general, and he was telling me how sometimes it's best to get the best player available, because sometimes if you try too hard to address a need at the draft, you end up having a situation again the Bears with Trubisky, where they tried too hard to address a need and they gave up assets for a guy that never panned out, right? And even in the NHL, it's happened. The Habs with I think it was Louis LeBlanc. The one year in 2009, they drafted him. He was a center from Quebec. It was like a no-brainer, right? And they just picked him, and he was obviously not supposed to be in the first round, right? So sometimes you want to address a need, and sometimes you don't pick the best guy available, and it kind of blows up in your face, right? Because you want to help with a certain position, but sometimes that's what those late rounds I find are for. Yeah. Sometimes you can address needs and you get those odd steals, right, through those late rounds, especially in the NFL. Every round of the NFL matters. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Most sports, but I think the NFL is it always matters no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, even again, you can get a franchise quarterback at 5th or 6th round. Dak Prescott was a 4th round pick.
Tom Brady.
Look at him. Tom Brady was a 6th round pick, and
Russell Wilson was 3rd round.
That's right. Yeah, that's right, buddy. And it just tells you sometimes you just don't want to try too hard to address a need like that. Sometimes you kind of in a situation where you have to, but pressure wise from the fans and maybe the media, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just best to get the best guy available. That's just my opinion. I think it'll pan out better, and then it kind of affects. It's like a pyramid, right? So it kind of affects everything else. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So the draft was good.
It was also a good draft for
man.
Even Canadian players. You have Javon Holland going in the 2nd round, I believe, at pick 34, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a guy, I think Palmer, the guy from Brampton, I think.
Yep, Palmer. The Chargers. Yeah. Saint Just went as well, and Chuba Hubbard went, I believe, 5th round.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
136. Oh, that would be 4th round. Just looking at it right now.
That's awesome, though. You're starting to see a lot more of a trend with the Canadian athletes,
Yep.
more Canadian football players going to the NFL. Before, years ago, I saw like the NBA was going to that trend. You saw a lot of the Canadian basketball players making it to the league. Now you're starting to see a lot of NFLers from Canada come to the. It's awesome. You love to see it. Like it's good to see that we're starting to make put ourselves on the map in that way, right? And the latest star from coming out of Canada is Chase Claypool. It was last year with the Steelers, right? So. Yeah, you love to see that stuff. It's good for, it's like a good country pride thing, So
For sure.
yeah, man. Yeah, no, it was a good draft though. I think overall, I think again every team improved in some way. One thing though I find about the NFL with their system is like it's a little bit hard though, like
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's like in terms of how the players pan out, like it's not like the MLB or even the NBA in some instances, NHL, where they have a minor league system, and you can go up and develop in the minor league system before you make the big club, before you play the pro team. The NFL is just, oh yeah, you play college for 3 years. All right, kid, get in. You're like the quarterbacks especially. Oh yeah, here you go. We're drafting you. All right, get in there, bud. If you don't, and they got a short window too, man. Some of them they only last like 2-3 years. Like look at Sam Darnold. He only blasted three seasons in the Jets, and they already gave up on him, right? So it's hard, man. It's a hard system.
Look at Johnny Manziel with Cleveland Browns, basically.
Yeah, he was a little bit of a different story, though. He didn't really. He even admitted it on a podcast. He just did not take his. He didn't give a shit. Like he really didn't care back then. He was on he has a podcast with Mike Stud, and they were talking about that. And I love that podcast, by the way. But he just didn't care. He didn't give a fuck. He still thought he was in college, and he still keep that same lifestyle. But you can't do that, right? Once you go to the pros, it's hard.
I think the other problem with like the NFL is if you're drafted in a late round, unless there's a major injury, like you're not getting any playing time. You're either getting play time right at the end of a quarter, or you're getting play time when somebody's really injured and they need you. Like Tom Brady, it's
got lucky.
Exactly. Drew Bledsoe got a concussion, and that's what kickstarted his career. Now. You can argue that the CFL is kind of the minors to the NFL, but it's a completely different football in the sense of the way the field is, the down system. It's completely different.
You know what?
It's harder to play Canadian ball, I think. Personally, it's harder in some ways.
The CFL, I heard from the CFL they're basically like in negotiation with the XFL.
Yep.
Oh, to kind of like save their. And that would hurt to see the CFL kind of just fold like that after all this, Well,
the XFL is now owned by The Rock.
Yeah.
And, he played in the CFL. So he wants also
he appreciates the CFL. Yeah, and he appreciates it, which is good. And yeah, that would be so.
I don't think a lot of people also know this about The Rock. The Rock is actually he's part Canadian.
Yeah.
His dad is Canadian.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically half Samoan and then half African Canadian, basically.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I didn't even actually know that.
Oh. Yeah, his dad was from Nova Scotia, so when he came here, I guess his dad also talked him to how Canada is. He didn't grow up here, obviously, but he played it for Calgary, I believe, for a bit. So he kind of has that appreciation as well for Canadians and, CFL. So he understands how much it means to Canadians. But
especially out west, they really love their CFL over there. Yeah.
And obviously out west, there's no real close games for them to go watch football besides the CFL. Like here in Toronto, you can just drive across the border and go watch the Bills play.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, have you guys been to Buffalo before for a game? It is so freaking fun, man. Those fans are nuts.
Yeah. It's a different experience. The CFL compared to the NFL, it's a different experience.
Oh yeah, because we're not allowed to have the tailgate in Canada, so.
Not even just that.
Say that.
The culture is different. Yeah.
I shouldn't. yeah, it's definitely the culture, but also the quality of the actual game itself is completely different.
Yeah, I agree, buddy. It's
Like,
true.
shouldn't take away from what the CFL players do. They're still professional athlete, but you can just tell they're in the CFL because they couldn't make the NFL because of their quality.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know,
I agree. Yeah, no, it's definitely no due respect to those guys. They still play a hard game, but yeah, they're just not. A lot of them just aren't at the level of the NFL, or they just they're either done in the NFL and they just come play there, right, and play
yep,
for less money and just play the game they love, right, and that's
definitely.
really tests it, really. Yeah, man, it's yeah, no, it's good. I always like the CFL. Obviously, I'm more of an NFL guy. I don't really watch much college ball. Like I follow it a little bit here and there when like the national championships are
Definitely, yep.
happening.
Yeah.
I kind of know what players are. You know what I mean? Like because the draft and stuff. But yeah, no, I mean the NFL has always been my number one for football. So yeah, I've been pretty religiously watching it for years. So yeah.
For sure.
All right, yeah, I would switch over to hockey now, boys, if that's cool. But you got a lot of things actually happened this week for hockey. So we were talking about earlier. I was kind of shocked by this, but well, not really. We got Jonathan Drouin took time away from the Habs for personal reasons. I don't want to make any assumptions, but I think it might be mental health related.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, like again, I've been a Drouin fan since they traded for him, and the way this fan base is just Hab fans like
It's
they are
toxic.
nuts, very toxic,
Definitely, yep.
especially with the fact of him being a homegrown talent. The expectations are just way more than the average player. Again, I've seen just on the internet, just on Twitter alone in the last 4 years, like just disgusting comments about him, like just horrible things. And like, it's just like, it wears you down as like a person, you know, like it's one
Definitely.
thing to like, it's one thing to just, like to take the heat. It's fine. Like, it's part of being an athlete. You got to be able to take criticism, but like, excuse me, some of the stuff they like said about him was just over the top. And I think it's led to his struggles. Honestly, he's had times though in Montreal where he's looked fantastic, and he's when they had him with Domi a few years ago, he was great.
For sure.
And just I don't know, man. Just even again, you saw him in Tampa there, Mason.
Yep.
He was. I loved him in Tampa until well, there
Yeah.
was the one time with where he asked for a trade and there was that
Yep.
whole riff, but no, he's been always been a great player. The year after that, he was great.
I
So
think he's kind of in the same boat as like Johnny Manziel. I find he's very problematic in his approach to things.
yeah.
What I mean is when he asked for the trade from Tampa Bay, what did he do? He did something in, I believe, the dressing room at one point. What happened? He ended up getting suspended by the team. Then he got sent down
And he didn't
because of his
report.
action. And then he didn't report. What happens? Got suspended again. Like he doesn't seem to know how to properly handle situations as well. And I think his contract as well is way too much for him.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
second they traded for him, they signed him long term, and uh, I mean, I was like, it's worth the risk, right? Because again, he's such a high skill set. Like, again, I've been a supporter of him since he's been on this team, and I just seen like this kid can dangle in a phone booth. I'm telling you, like that's why I don't want him to ever leave the team. Like, yeah, like he's been struggling, like he hasn't scored in like I think it feels like 2 months. And but dude, this just the skill set that this guy has, it's so hard to like want to give up on a guy like that, you know?
Yeah,
Um how did you feel about like when they traded him back then? Like how did you feel like were you kind of like, okay, like it's maybe it was time for him to move on kind of thing, or like how did you feel about that?
I mean, it definitely was the time to move on. Like my grandfather is a Canadians fan, so I
Oh,
know how
okay.
he felt about the trade on the other side. And obviously now, like you look at the player that Tampa Bay got back, you forget about who Drouin is. You don't remember who he is.
Yeah. I mean,
You
personally, sorry, go ahead, buddy. No, go ahead.
he
No.
Tampa Bay won that trade by a mile.
Yeah.
That'd be like trading LeBron James for like freaking a bench player on the Raptors. It's just there's no comparison at that point. What
Yeah,
Sergachev has done in 2 years is more than what Drouin has done in his entire career for both teams. It's been night and day the change that Tampa Bay's had. I when he first came on team, I was over the moon excited for this kid. He was destroying juniors, even in the tournament. He played with McKinnon, and then that's where I started to have my doubts once he started playing for Tampa Bay. I started to believe that McKinnon made him, and that
yeah.
once he left, there was no saving him, kind of deal.
Yeah, like I find the problem with him, not really with him. I think again, Montreal just hasn't given him the right line mates since day
No.
one. And again, going back to like the trade, like, obviously Tampa Bay won that trade by a landslide. There's no like it's a no-brainer. I love Drew. But like, yeah, like again, that's just sorry. That's like another example of again Drew Bergevin Montreal trying to like address a need, and he tried like kind of went over aggressive and gave up an asset that they could honestly use right now, right?
And I think it's a problem with their fans as well. Like going back to what you guys were saying, the fans are toxic.
Oh, very, very.
Unless
toxic.
they have somebody that's French speaking, they don't want them.
Yeah.
What? Why would a French speaking team why would French fans want a Russian guy playing for you? They don't. The only
Dude, it's true. Like a lot of the
European player they ever really showed love to was Saku Koivu. That from
Kovalev
at least from when I was growing up, at least. I don't know how much back in the day, how much love they showed, but
they did. But the media, again, I remember there was controversy because again he didn't speak French and the media didn't like that. It's a lot of these like old like French boomer fans that still think it's like the 1970s with like fucking Larry, not Larry, well, Larry Robinson, yeah, but like Jean Beliveau and like the Rocket Richard, like, back in those days. They still think it's that and like, oh, the players have to be French, but it's like times have changed, like there's a draft system now. It's not just like local tryouts like they did when the Rocket and Beliveau played. They had a sign, here's local tryouts for this team. Come and, so.
And and another problem with the Canadians is I'm just reading here on a Sportsnet article, there's only 2 French speaking players on that team.
Yeah.
Him and Deneau.
I think Joel Edmondson knows a little. I think he's French too.
Probably a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Deneau,
right now, they're the only players from Quebec as well. Yeah. So that could be what the article is saying. It says French speaking Quebecers.
Yeah.
So it's they're battling evil, not within themselves, but within the community and within the team kind of deal. And I don't think it's helping them. It's kind of like what happened in Toronto with, Kessel and Phaneuf. It was the media was their problem.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, definitely.
The problem with and another issue with the Habs too is again, they just will not hire a non-French speaking coach or GM, and it really just narrows down their options. And that's why they've struggled for the last 28 years. And it's frustrating. I know you talk, even French fans too are I don't even care if he doesn't speak French anymore. At this point, I just want the best people available for the job.
Yep.
And it's such a it's almost like identity politics in a sense, where it's they have to hire, they got to go by this creed just to appease the media and the fans. It's nah, sometimes you just gotta step on their toes and be no, we're gonna hire the best people available, and just it's frustrating.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a very divided fan base, though. I'm on the Twitter scene with a lot of with the Habs fans, and a lot of them are awesome, and I talk to them on the daily. But man, I see some threads of just them fighting each other, arguing over players. Very divided fan base.
They're way They're way more toxic than Toronto's fan.
I honestly could agree with that.
And
yeah,
it's because
that comes back to you want to say back in the day they just wanted French people, man. That's all they wanted.
That's all they wanted. And again, majority of the players were French back then, right? So it's just and they still think by that same mindset, right?
Now, in the sense that Leafs fans are toxic, it's more that y'all think you're gonna win every year.
Yeah.
You're not. And
basically for the Leafs fan, it's if they're winning, go play in the Stanley Cup parade. If they're losing, They're like trash AF.
They're everybody. Yeah, they're like the Cowboys fans. That's who
Yeah.
you compare them to. If they're
Yeah,
winning,
it's
they're
true.
gonna win the Super Bowl. If they're losing,
Yeah, how about
that's
them
not my favorite
Cowboys?
team. That's not my
How
favorite team.
about the Cowboys?
That's what they always say when they're winning, and then when they're losing, oh fuck Dak Prescott, get rid of Ezekiel Elliott. Oh, you know, it's crazy, man. Now so the fan bases are so like some of them are so funny just to see them like attack each other like that. It's just like, yeah, Hab fans are very very divided. It's a pretty sad time. They've been honestly though since like man for years they've been though. Even like when like before the Subban got traded, I think Subban getting traded started a lot of the divide.
For sure.
The Michelle Therrien era put a dent in it,
Yep.
but the Subban trade definitely put a dent. Started a division within the fan base, but yeah, man, it's some tough shit. Yeah, it's some tough shit for sure. It's a very and honestly, like stuff like that, like I got talking about the emotional like abuse at some point that Drew Ennis faced, like just being on this team, like that's why like a lot of players don't want to sign in Montreal, like very little players. Like I look at Twitter every day and it's just so bad. Like I see so much like disgusting like toxicity towards these players. It's like they're just human beings at the end of the day, you know, like just doing a job. That's it.
I think for him though, he needs another change of scenery. And I think that if you want him to perform like how he was in juniors, you got to pair him up with somebody who gets points.
Yeah, Montreal doesn't have that kind of player. That's the problem.
Like if he goes to Edmonton, and you put him on McDavid or Draisaitl's line, like there you go. He might go back to what he was.
Oh,
you know, maybe send him to Colorado, put him back with McKinnon. Like he needs to play with people that get points
and that make him better. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they up his game. Yeah,
like Tampa Bay tried to do that with him, and it didn't work because if you look at Tampa Bay, the way they structure their lines, they structure them spread out. They're a very spread out team.
Yeah.
So, the only time you ever really see players playing together is Point, Stamkos, and Kucherov on one line. But then you look at the second line, you got Palat, Cirelli, and say Maroon. Like, that's a spread out first two lines that arguably can still get you over 60 points throughout a season for each player.
Absolutely.
It's just he's got to be on a team where there's one line that's just going to get points, and that's all that team's got for him to succeed.
Just score, just score, put that puck in the net, and that's it for sure. He needs a lot of. That's the problem again. Like Montreal, just for years they just haven't provided him with the right line mates, and it's definitely done a number on his confidence because he was like playing on the fourth line before he took the absence, and I was like, fourth line. I was like, damn, that's like pretty bad. But I mean, you don't know what else to do, right? You don't know what else to do sometimes, right? And I mean, he's actually provided some good leadership for this team. He's become more of a leader, I think, this season. He's kind of stepped up to the plate. He's getting more mature, but yeah, like I don't know, like I just feel like it just hurts to see that, like guys struggle like that. Like, and I've been a fan of him since the beginning.
Yep.
The failed experiment at center in the first season, I definitely killed his confidence, but it is what it is, boys, right? Nothing you can do with that. That's Montreal's poor management doing that. That's not really his fault. So I don't really blame him for a lot of the situations that he's been in. I don't really blame him. And just the situation that the organization put him in to begin with, trading, like, again, at the time, Sergachev was Montreal's best prospect at the time. Trading their best prospect to acquire a player like that. And also him being like they just put him in such a big pedestal, like, and it's just, like that's a lot of people that just some people can handle it, some can't, right? It's just everyone's personalities are different, right? So, yeah, I mean, really tough, and I just hope he's okay. Like, obviously, whatever's going on with him, like, I hope he's all right and takes the time he needs and comes back stronger, right? So that's all I hope for him. So, boys. So we'll talk about the playoffs now. So our teams, I mean, your teams are in. Yep. My team's just about in. We're almost there. We're almost there. Yeah. Like we were saying earlier, like with Tampa, like I was like, man, the Kucherov was out for most of the season there, Mason, and Stamkos now too. They've had some key injuries.
Out.
Just if you look at most teams that are actually very successful in the leagues, they're all injury plagued. I don't want to make excuses necessarily for just Tampa Bay. You look at Boston. Boston's always been an injury prone team. Toronto, sometimes major players, Toronto players go out.
Yeah.
That's just something that teams got to live with and deal with.
Yeah.
Obviously,
you gotta have the depth.
Stamkos, he's basically guaranteed to get injured. He is my favorite player, but he's probably going to get injured throughout the season.
And he was on my fantasy team.
Yep.
Sucks. Man.
Kucherov, you knew about that before the season was starting, so yeah, that sucks because how good of a player he is, and you're going to be missing out on him. But you just got to live with it and figure out what works for you and go in strides.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, like even with going back to like Stamkos, I remember. Do you guys remember the one game he played in the finals last year? He scored that beautiful goal, chipped around Lindell, and took the puck and sniped it top cheese. Like I was going crazy when he scored that goal because like I like Tampa Bay as like my playoff team when the Habs are out. So, but I remember he talked about that moment, and he said that when he went around Lindell, like with the puck there, and I think he kind of nudged him, and I think he was skating towards the puck, and he felt something tear in his leg, and then he knew something was, and he got injured right before he shot that puck. So he said he felt something tear in his leg. I'm like, dude, that is just the worst luck. He has the worst luck, man.
Ever since that injury in Boston before the
leg injury,
the Olympics, that's what set it off. And he's still one of the more elite players in the NHL. Like he proves it when he does play. He just unluckily gets hurt often, and it affects how most people's opinions are of him.
Yeah.
Like you look at him, if you're a fan of the team, you know how much he is worth to the team. He's valuable as a leader, as a player, as anything. But if you're looking at it from an outside perspective, you're like, well, he's always injured. What value does he bring to you?
Yeah, a lot of fans have thought that too. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard.
Like, why do you think that he was there when they were hoisting the Stanley Cup? Because the players knew that he was a leader, whether he was playing or not. They all said that. All the assistant captains that were there said in their interviews he was there because he was a leader in the dressing room, even though he was not playing.
Oh, for sure. He's fantastic leader. I'm telling you, like when I saw him lift that cup, like I said, I met him like 3 summers ago in Toronto somewhere, and he's just the nicest guy. Yeah, he's just the nicest guy ever, man. Like he's just so down to earth and like, just like I could just go on about how great he was, but like, just seeing him lift that cup and like I like Tampa Bay as like my playoff team, and like I never have really like get emotional like with like sports as much as like but seeing that like was like I actually shed a tear to my eye, just a guy who's went through so much in his career, and they let him hold the cup first even though he was injured, and he dressed for it too, which made it even better. Like that was so cool. He dressed full uniform for that.
Yeah.
And just waited. It was it was surreal. It was something I'll always remember.
Even though I am a Tampa Bay fan, I think I was more happy when they won the 5 overtime game against the Islanders, I believe it was. I think I was more happy during that game because there's more emotion to that game because, one goal can win that game.
Yeah.
When you're watching the game for the Stanley Cup, you see how it's going and you're like, oh, well, they're going to win now. There's a minute left. It's 2-0, whatever it was. You know they're going to win. So you're already pretty happy. But when it happens, you're happy because your excitement level's already raised way above the roof.
That's true. Yeah, and you already know what's going to happen. Yeah.
And, I've been lucky enough, even though I was really young when they won their first one, I've seen them, in quotation, win 2 cups. I've been lucky enough to. Not a lot of people get to say that.
Jacob and I haven't seen any, so you are pretty lucky, buddy.
You're lucky.
And the way they've been playing the last 2 years, I expect many more. I expect the dynasty for sure. But you never know what happens for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Jacob, I mean, the Leafs too, like this year, we were talking about the injuries with Tampa. The Leafs had to
Yeah.
overcome a lot of concerns because Matthews was
Exactly.
out for a period of time, right, Jacob?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
And they still played like really good too. It was nuts. The depth is again
I
Mason
think
was saying.
Simi was out as well for a while.
Yeah, man. Like everybody, I'm telling you, the Leafs had some key injuries too, and like we were saying, like again, it's just the depth that these teams have now, like is phenomenal. Um, I mean, the Leafs are obviously. I think the Leafs are. My cousin thinks the Leafs are going to the finals. um,
Oh,
and I don't know. Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them. This is the best shot they've had, I think, since their last Stanley Cup. I swear to God, this is
Once
like the best they've had.
once they get into the
especially
playoffs and they got to play a team that they haven't played out of the Canadian division, I don't know how they're going to be able to stack
That's
up
gonna be hard. Yeah.
because you're playing, whether people believe it or not, everybody arguably knows in their mind that that's the easiest division to win,
Yeah.
no
I
matter
agree.
who the team is. And it was always the Leafs. It's either theirs or it's a free for all for everybody else.
Yeah. Everyone knew that going into the season too. That it was gonna the Leafs were gonna win by default that division. And then
and
just
here's
whoever
the
under
thing.
them's got to decide it. Yeah, go ahead, Jacob.
And here's the thing. Amazon is also in the building as well. So
Yeah.
they're actually doing a documentary series on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, really?
So
Oh, I
yeah,
actually might want to watch that actually, to be honest.
Yep.
Is it being filmed right now or like what's going on, buddy?
they're basically filming like all season, and then
Okay.
I think they're basically releasing it after like the season ends when the
Oh,
playoffs started. So yeah,
interesting. That's good. I wanna see that actually. It might just be. Do you think it'll be like kind of like a behind the scenes thing, or will it just be kind of like
yeah,
talking? Yeah,
I believe it will.
that's cool.
Because if you're seeing like you know how like F1 Drive to Survive and documentary series like that,
Yeah,
be the thing.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
So
Yeah,
it's gonna be good.
I'm definitely gonna check that out
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Because I know like I find those like behind the scenes things cool because I know the NHL has done like the Road to the Winter Classic and stuff in the past.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
the Habs had the 24CH show for a long time. I don't know, they kind of stopped doing it the last couple of seasons, but it was like really cool. They used to have like behind the scenes, they would like see the
Yeah.
players and like they'd be like just like chirping each other and shit. And it was cool. Like I love seeing that kind of behind the
Mhm.
scenes kind of stuff, you know?
I think Pittsburgh has one as well.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, they
remember.
did. Yep.
Boston has one called like Behind the Bee or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like most teams have like kind of made their own one. It's pretty cool though. I like seeing that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, man, I made my predictions for the Stanley Cup Finals. I personally think it's gonna be a Florida and Colorado final, either Florida Colorado or Florida Vegas. That's what I'm going.
I'm not exactly sure how it breaks down which divisions play on which side.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people said at the beginning of the season it was going to be Tampa Bay and Colorado.
Yeah, I heard that too.
You also gotta just remember, like it's a 7-game series. Your points don't matter once you get in.
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly.
like if you look at Tampa Bay, they were the most dominant team 2 years ago. Most dominant team ever in history. They tied the record for most points. They were dominant. Look at what happened. Swept easy. They burned out. It happened.
Facts. It's true.
And if anybody knows off the top of their head, like when was the last time a President Trophy winning team won the Stanley Cup?
It's been forever.
Exactly.
I hate that trophy for that reason because it's such a like glorified trophy. Like, who cares if you come first place in the league? That doesn't matter. Like,
I think Washington in 2017 was the last one.
Oh,
but
really?
before then, who like, if I'm just looking here,
I gotta search that real quick. Oh, last President's Trophy team to win the Stanley Cup.
Detroit Red Wings in 2007, 2008 won the Stanley Cup.
Right.
And then before then, it would have been 2001, 2002, and then 2000 to 2001.
All Red Wings, though, right? Or
Red Wings and Avalanche.
oh, right. Yeah.
And
Man.
something a lot of people don't know about that, this Avalanche winning, my cousin actually played for that team.
Oh,
Wait, really?
Yep, he's actually a really big name player in NHL history. It's Ray
That's-
Bork.
no way. You're
he's-
related to him?
No.
He's my second
way.
cousin.
That's dope, man.
Yeah,
What?
he's my
Dude,
second
that's
cousin.
so cool.
Um,
You see him often, or
I've never personally met him. Like,
oh,
when I was, when he was playing, I wasn't even born, or I was just a
yeah,
baby.
true.
He does know my family though. Like, it's not that like, oh, he's just related to me. I use that. He does know my family, and he knows my grandfather very well, and knows my mom,
Oh,
because
that's dope, man.
he's actually married to my grandfather's niece. Is
Okay.
how we're related.
Yeah.
I have seen him play actually. When they had the Hall of Fame game that Toronto, like, they always host every year
Yeah.
first.
Alumni.
He actually set
Oh,
aside
yeah.
tickets for when he was the captain of the one team for my grandfather and I to go and see.
Dude,
Um,
that's so cool.
So yeah, that's something special to me personally. Like, I can always say, like, my cousin won a Stanley Cup. That's important.
That's
um,
cool, man.
I know
I did not.
a lot of
The
people
more
in
I know
sports.
about you,
Yeah, I know a lot of people in sports, but that's always going to be something because I can say I'm technically related to this person.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. That's so cool,
bragging
man.
right.
Yeah, bragging rights, buddy. Did he bring like the cup at all, or like to your family and stuff? Do you remember from back
I'm
then,
not
or
sure. I would have been. I think I would have just been born at that time.
how
That
old are
was
you, buddy?
2000.
Sorry,
I'm 20, so I just
you're 20.
turned 20 in December.
Oh,
So I'm turning
oh,
21 this year.
2000. Okay,
Yep. So
cool,
he would have
buddy.
just won that trophy. I basically wouldn't have been 5 months, I don't think, at that
Shit.
time.
Yeah, true.
So I think he probably would have taken it to Boston because a lot of people, that's where his home was.
Yeah.
And that's where he lives now.
He's back in Boston now, eh?
That's where he lives, yeah. That's his home.
That's cool.
So,
That's awesome.
he might have taken it. He's from Quebec, so could have been taking it out there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know this is a really faint memory I do have, but I don't know remember how old I was. It was either his retirement party or
Yeah.
when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. He had a party, but my parents went away for that. So that's a memory I have. So I don't know if, like, they might have seen it then or something, because he did retire the season right after. Like, he retired right after that season.
Yeah, it was right after that cup. Yeah, that was like kind of like the end of the line for him.
So he could have had that party and that been when they left, whatever. So,
That's so cool though, man. That is like so cool, dude. I wish I had like
yeah,
my family, we love hockey, like, but we don't have like anybody, that went professional. Like, we had one guy, he was like a family friend of ours. He played with the London Knights. His name was
Sean Monahan.
No, I know him. Well, I know his family, but we had a family friend. His name, the son. His name was Alex Basso, I think. He played with London Knights. Yeah, he was a defenseman. He was pretty good there. He never really made. I don't think he made the show. I think he was in Minnesota's minor leagues as the Iowa Wild or whatever. But I think. Don't quote me on that for sure. But yeah, no, that's all I have for my family. But yeah, nothing. Yeah, but we love our hockey though. Like my mom's side, we're all hockey fans. We all played. Yeah.
In my family, my grandparents, they were horse trainers, and my grandfather used to be a jockey. So a lot of athletes or anybody famous, they own horses because that's high end, high class, what you own, right?
Rich people shit. Yeah.
So they know a lot of famous people through that as well. They're close friends with a dad of two players that play in the Blackhawks system. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. Secura, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. I think I've heard of it, yeah.
I went to high school with a guy that's playing in the minor leagues for the Athletics.
Oh yeah.
He's a year younger than me. I went to high school with him.
Way.
It's a small world that you don't even realize.
Yeah.
That,
Even
people.
Yeah, man. Like even Jacob and I at our school, We have a kid that played. He just got signed by the Stockton Heat in the
Yep.
American Hockey League.
Mhm.
Chris Bennett. Shout
Yeah.
out to Chris Bennett if you're watching, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kid. Yeah, he was my age too, and I remember like I still remember this story so fondly. Like we had you guys remember the literacy test in
Yeah.
high school, right?
Oh,
Yeah. So at one time at Aquinas, we had in our Jacob and I school, we were playing floor hockey in the gym at in fucking Aquinas gym class, and I was like one of these fucking cocky little shits. I was like, yeah, I was
Yep.
dangling people left and right, and I was one of these cocky little shits, and then Chris came and played, and dude, I'm telling you, this guy humbled me so quick. Just put it
Yep.
through my legs, like I'm like looking for the ball, and he's like already on the other side. I'm like, holy shit! I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then I found out that summer he got drafted by the Saginaw Spirit in the OHL. I was like,
Yep. I know.
I see why
as well.
now. Yeah,
I went
man.
I went to high school with a kid that plays for the Spirit as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went to
fun.
I went to the same high school. I know someone who played for the OHL. I don't remember what the name is. So.
You don't even realize, like, you might know them, and then you realize that, damn, this kid, he's going places. And
Yeah.
the guy that plays baseball in the athletics organization, I'll give him a shout out, TJ Schofield Sam.
Hey,
I didn't even
shout
know
out.
he played baseball. I
Really?
just knew him. I just knew him. I went to the school later. It was my last semester of grade 12, so I was just graduating. So when I went there, I didn't know many people. I knew some that I went to high school with in another school. So when I went there, I just knew who he was. And everybody was like, oh, this kid's a really good baseball player. He's a good baseball player. Just didn't know how good he was.
Yeah.
And then I later found out that he gets drafted. He's played for the Canadian national team. Like,
wow.
This kid, whether or not how hard baseball is to get into, how we were talking about football, but you don't realize, yeah, they might have a minor league system, but that minor league system, it runs deep, and
it does.
It's whether
it's a process to get into the big leagues, man.
Like most baseball players, yeah, you look at Mike Trout, he was like 21 when he made it. Like,
yeah,
most players don't make it until they're about 26. And
facts.
I hope the best for him. Like, apparently he's a really talented player.
Yeah.
You just gotta wish well on them. Whether you
for sure.
didn't get along with them or not, it's what they want to do. It's something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a professional athlete my entire life. Most kids that played sports always did.
Yeah, for sure.
You just gotta wish well on them.
Yeah, you got exactly. And don't wish any ill on anybody for sure. I try not to. In my life now, like we're adults now. I'm just like, why am I gonna like say, oh, you don't deserve this because you were an asshole to me like 10 years ago. Like, who cares? It was fucking in the past. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
Yeah, man. Speaking of assholes, man, freaking Jake Virtanen, man. I was boys, I think his career is done. I'm gonna read, dude. I got like the girl came out, and honestly, like, I think these are there's some cases where you don't know if they're true. It could just be like just trying to cancel somebody, but like this, like I'm reading some of these details. Like, my God, like I think she gave like specific details when she was at his house. It was like
he's just. Kid's 24, and he's been another problematic player. Like, you look at his second season, well, it'd be his first full season, I assume, with Canucks. He came in overweight, by a big margin, almost 20 pounds,
For that too. He's a problem child.
He just, last season, being filmed in a club, doing certain things, this now comes out, like,
I think his career is done. And honestly, if he's gonna play again, it's probably gonna be in Russia, where a lot of these guys
AHL.
I don't even think the teams are gonna want to touch him if he's like actually like a rapist, like they're claiming him to be. Like, I think like in North America, they're gonna be like, hey man, we don't want anything to do with you. We're gonna clean our hands on this. Like, and then Russia usually takes all the NHL rejects like that. Slava Voinov was one.
Yep.
Bill Peters was the coach.
Wow.
Brendan Leipzig, like they obviously don't care about
just
that stuff. They just play hockey, right? But
I think
got to be careful with that stuff too.
I don't know what like he's done to, like what goes on through his head. He's just been problem after problem after problem. It seems like he's always in some sort of media attention, whether it's for a good thing or a bad thing. He was supposed to be this great prospect, just like Drouin. Like, I'm not gonna compare him in the sense that their problems are the same, but these kids, they were supposed to be something. And then while they do have different problems, they both been problematic. It's just how the way the world is now that
you got to be held accountable for stuff like that too, like for sure.
Something that you could do 10 years ago, you can't do now. It's just how the way the world is.
Yeah.
Especially we're living in a social media kind of world.
Yep.
Exactly, buddy. Jacob, you're so right on that. Like you can do something bad from like, God, like you see like a lot of these older guys, like celebrities now are like getting caught up with these like assault allegations because again, they did something fucked up in their 30s or their 20s and there was no social media back then and these victims, these poor women didn't have voices back then, right? And now they can speak up and say, right? So like I was reading some of the details on there just now and like dude, she was literally telling him like nah, like I'm not cool with this and like he's like no, we don't worry, you don't have to like we don't have to like have sex or anything and he was like still like forcing himself on her. It's like dude, like she says no, like you kind of gotta
enough is enough. Like
and you know what the problem is too with a lot of these young athletes especially they're just so used to girls like chasing them, right? So they just assume that every girl is gonna want them, right? Is gonna want to get with them, which is not true, right? In this case, this girl did not consent to it. And I believe like there's so many details, like they met last summer, she said, and like she went to his place, I think, and they put on like Netflix, and then he started like, I don't know, a bunch of other things like that. So like she was very detailed. So I don't think this is like he deleted his Twitter account, by the way. So he didn't even put out a public statement saying, hey guys, this is not true. Like, just right away, just deleted his Twitter, made his Instagram private. Like, he's got something to hide. Nope. Like the Canucks made the public statement.
Yeah, and he's just, I don't know.
He's fucked. He's done, boys.
It's just.
No wonder why we got the Speak Out movement.
Yeah, it's the Me Too movement there. I mean, it's done a lot of good. It's holding these bad people, bad men, I mean, accountable, right? So
it's a sad thing to see somebody with so much talent throw it all away doing something stupid,
Yeah.
You go, like, I've been using other examples from other sports, and I'm going to keep doing it. Like, you look at Aaron Hernandez.
Oh.
Something completely stupid that did not need to happen. What happens? We're here.
Even again, Urban Meyer, like we were talking about before, he coached them in Florida Gators, right? And again, he knew about his problems, and he was like the gang stuff he was involved in before was like in the NFL. He was in the same thing in college. It was just it all caught up to him.
It's just a sad thing, man.
It is. It's very sad. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, just such a waste of talent. Like, he could have done so much, and you just make bad choices, and and it just ruins your life, man. And
for sure,
it's a shame. It's an absolute shame to see something like that. And there hasn't been obviously nothing in court yet. Nothing's been proven in court. So I would assume she should go to legal matters, because I mean these are pretty serious like allegations. Like, I mean. With a lot of details and like receipts, right? So I hope she does go to court and wins, because you got to hold these people accountable, right?
For sure.
Things like that. So I hope the victim is okay. First of all, I want to say, and Jake Virtanen, man, it's been a like you said, Mason, like he's just been a problem his whole career, and then it started when, I don't know if you remember, in the World Juniors back then, he made that mistake in the game, the gold medal game. I think he was it scored in his own net or something like that?
Something like that, man.
Yeah. It was just one thing after the other with this kid, and just That's it.
There's just nothing you can do to kind of save him at this point. I don't know.
No, he's done. He's done, boys. It just sucks, man. First overall pick. Sorry, not first overall. First round, 6th overall pick, I think he was. And
yeah,
just,
something like that for sure.
It's a shame. It's an absolute shame. Yeah, and then there was like Roberto Alomar got the Jays cut ties with him too.
Yeah, I think they're severing ties with Roberto Alomar.
They did. Yeah, they already announced that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking down his banner, eh?
Oh yeah? I didn't know that one.
I want nothing to do with them now. So
yeah, I don't blame them.
Shame.
It's just gotta.
It's the whole public relations kind of thing where you don't want to be associated with those kind of things, right?
It's social media. To, Black Lives Matter, and it goes to all that stuff. Like if you got anything like that, they don't want you. They're not gonna want to do anything with you anymore.
Yeah.
You make one wrong mistake, and I don't blame them for it. You make one wrong mistake, it's over for you. Kind of deal nowadays.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm telling you, because again, social media, like so many people, it's just crazy how, like again, a bunch of people can just tweet a bunch of things and complain about a certain person, and it gets trending, and then it causes that person to lose their job. It's like they control what happens in the world now,
Like, look at what happened to Jake Fromm last season for his draft stock. He had one bad tweet, and it sent him down all the way down to like the third round.
Wait, sorry, who was that again?
He's a football player, Jake Fromm.
Oh, Jake Fromm. Yeah, that's right.
He had a racist tweet that was out, and I know this was a long time before he even was in college, I believe, and that one tweet, it's gonna screw you. Like,
it's true. Trust me. Like I've made mistakes like that in the past too, with like Twitter and stuff.
Yeah.
And no, like I've really like fucked up in the past, but I've learned from them, and that's all you got to do is if you learn from them, and it's just and the problem is too, like I don't really like about the whole like canceling thing like that, like with Jake Fromm, like he said that years ago, but does he still believe in those same things? Right?
Yeah.
Like again, that's the thing you got to think about. Like, yeah, he made him like he's just a stupid teenager. I'm not enabling bad behavior, but it's like sometimes you just don't understand. You just don't realize what those things mean to certain people, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So me too. Like I kind of like I didn't really care. I used to have no filter, and I used to just say whatever I wanted, and it's got me in trouble in the past. And I've learned from that, and a lot of people have, right? And a lot of current athletes have had people dig up their old tweets and stuff. It's unfortunate, but that's the climate we're in now. So it's just everyone has to have like a squeaky clean image. So, So we'll talk about one more thing before we cap it off here. We'll talk about the Jays. I know we wanted to talk about that too. So good to see them back in form, eh? Get Rod Ray back, and you got Springer back. And T.O. as well. It's great to see, and they're gonna start climbing those standings on pretty soon. I think they're gonna start climbing up the standings. I think they beat the Braves today. I know they were winning earlier. Let me just check that score.
That was today, right? Yeah, I got their thing pulled up right here.
I think they were winning before.
They were winning last night. Yeah, they won today 7-2, I believe.
Oh, lit. Let me see the stat sheet here. Springer got no hits. That's okay. That happens. Bichette got 2 for 5. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. Guerrero got one run on 3 at bats. Not bad. Grichuk.
You also got to remember that this is Springer's 3rd game. He's still got to warm up. His second game, 2 home runs. There you go.
He hasn't played in a while too, obviously, right? So, he's got to get back in form. I'm not worried about him though.
No, not at all.
I'm telling you, I've wanted George Springer on this team for so long. He's just the perfect leadoff hitter. He's always been the perfect leadoff hitter. A guy that could get on base and drive in runs, but could also hit for power. It's perfect. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful, beautiful combination. I know the Astros, what happened with them. But again, he's still good though, right? It wasn't just the cheating helped his,
And then it was none of them really. You look at how poorly they did last season, but there's still a lot of implications to why they did so poorly. You still had the COVID-19 stuff, the way the season was formatted. You Yeah. But like
It's a lot
even
of
before they were still doing that stuff, like Altuve was still a great hitter. I don't know if Bregman was playing at that point, but he still, I think, started even a season before. He's still been a great player. He's still a great fielder.
Oh, he's fantastic, Bregman. I like him actually
You
a
know,
lot. Yeah.
Brantley, like you got Michael Brantley. Michael Brantley's just been a great hitter his entire career.
Mhm.
So, yeah, like you can be mad at them and they might have did something that's still unacceptable, but you got to think baseball and football, they're sports that everybody cheats in.
Cheats. I was just about to say that. Like the
Like,
Yankees got caught last
Patriots do it.
year. Patriots do
I'm a
it.
Patriots fan. It's unacceptable but every other team does it. It's whether you get caught and it's blown out of proportion or not.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
the Red Sox, what happened? Their manager got suspended. That was it.
Yeah.
Like,
Cora, he got a 1-year suspension and then they hired him right back.
it's just how it is. Like,
yeah. It's
sports.
Man. It's one of those things too, like again, like everyone cheats in baseball. Like it's just the Astros just got caught because they had a whistleblower. It was Mike Fears that was the snake that was the whistleblower on it. Like it's just
like,
again, you just don't get caught.
it's like, you got people that complain about them cheating, but they're doing it too. Like, I do like Trevor Bauer.
Oh, I love Trevor
But
Bauer.
he's using something that should not be used when he's pitching.
Yeah, he's like bumping up the speed on his pitches. He literally
it's
admitted
his
it on
RPM
Twitter.
it's RPM.
He literally
And
admitted it on
he's
Twitter.
doing it because he's admitted that he's doing it and that he's put science into finding a substance that he can use that they just haven't deemed illegal yet.
I know, right?
And
he's
then but he'll be the first one to go and say, "Well, Garrett Cole's using something."
Yeah, and then he'll point the finger at somebody else.
The Astros are doing stuff. Now, do I think he's great for the sport? Hell yeah. His emotion is one of the best things. Him and Tatis is going to be the best rivalry in that sport for dude. That's going to be something because whether they're not being public rivalries in the sense that, oh, I hate you, like
it's more on the field stuff.
Yeah. And Bauer's like, do it, go ahead. It's what I want. It's how I act. You do it to me. Like, go for it.
You love it. I love to see it, dude.
It's
so great. It's that the Dodgers and Padres is the best rivalry in the league right now. Hands down, boys. It is just
they're just powerful teams. It's a battle of both evils.
Yeah.
Battle of both evils. Whether you like them or not.
I like them, honestly. I like them both. I love both their teams. I've liked the Dodgers too for just like, again, playoff team, watching them in the playoffs, like the players they've always had, I've always been a fan of. So yeah, no, I've always liked the Dodgers, and the Padres now are a really fun team to watch. And adding Blake Snell and Yu Darvish this offseason were huge acquisitions for them.
Yep.
Like they huge.
You look at that team and it's arguably a great team on paper, but how long is that team going to last? Because you got aging players in that roster too. Like,
that's facts.
You got Eric Hosmer, like he's 34 now. You got Tommy Pham out in left. He's about the same age, maybe a little younger. Mm-hmm. So you got those two. You got some questionable other players like Austin Nola, and I don't even know
Will
who the
Myers.
second base. Yeah, Will Myers. He's another aging player.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Their bullpen isn't great either. Like their bullpen is pretty weak. They rely heavily on their starters, I think.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Dodgers. I mean, that team's just arguably just disgusting. Oh. They got some weak players, but with the amount of weakness those guys got, like Bellinger and Betts make up for it and double that. Like it's just
absolutely.
And then you got players like Max Muncy and Will Smith is the catcher. Like they play multiple positions. So you just got utility guys all in your infield, and then you got these 3 outfielders. I mean, I don't even know who their other outfielder is because I was thinking Jock Peterson at this point.
I think he got traded though.
Yeah, he's on the Cubs now, I believe, or the Nationals, something like that.
Yeah.
But Mookie Betts, arguably
the best player in baseball right now.
You can say Mike Trout, and Mike Trout
Yeah.
to me, I never liked Mike Trout.
Really? I've always loved Trout. Yeah. I saw him
Yeah.
play once at
I think he's a
Sunset.
I think he's a great baseball player. I don't think he's as good as people want to believe he is. Like, I don't think he's the greatest of all time, like people are
Oh
saying.
no, not the greatest of all time, but maybe one of the greatest in this generation, I think.
Generational, but yeah, I get baseball. It's more of a team sport, but you still have players that are playing on teams that carried their teams just by themselves.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't been able to do that with the Angels.
It's
Now
true.
I'm not gonna say that like, oh well, I know people are gonna be like, oh, he's just one guy. He's just one guy. And that's true in baseball as a team sport, but like I said, you still had guys, maybe 2, 3 guys that are on that team, and that's what they do. Like,
Yeah, that's true. Like again, you had years with the Jays, but Bautista was carrying them
Yep.
like year in and year out, right? Carrying that offense, right?
Well,
So,
like you had those three, like you had Encarnacion, Donaldson, and Batista. You had mediocre players with them,
around them, yeah,
like
to say the least.
Kevin Pillar, great outfielder, the best outfielder I've
Defensively,
ever been able to
Superman.
see.
yeah,
You know,
Superman. That's right.
but absolutely horrendous hitter.
Yeah, horrible
Ryan Goins, absolutely tremendous
defender,
infielder,
horrible
horrible at
hitter.
the plate. Catcher, you had an aging Russell
Russell
Martin.
Martin.
So
Yeah,
you had nothing there. You had Colabello at the one season, who was on roids or
yeah,
whatever he was on. So you
yeah.
can't even talk really about him, whether he was on it or not, whatever he wants to say. Then you had your shortstop was
Tulo, never
Tulowitzki.
healthy.
Too low.
Tulowitzki was always injured or, who wasn't himself.
Yeah,
Then you had your outfielders, which were Batista, Pilar, and then whoever was in left fielder.
yeah. Like it was always every
It
year. It
was
was someone different.
Saunders. It was Saunders.
Saunders. They had
Saunders
Ben
was decent.
Revere.
Saunders was really decent. I'll give Saunders. He was probably the best out of the rest we had.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
he could hit and he could field, and that's really it.
Yeah.
But then you got teams like, you look at the Red Sox. Mookie Betts was basically carrying that team for the most part. You had a aged David Ortiz. So, but David Ortiz at 40 is still better than most players are at 26 and 27. So,
That's facts. That's facts. Yeah.
and then you look at the Yankees. Like the Yankees, when they won their last World Series, Rodriguez was like 32 and 33. Jeter was 36. They were all aging, and they were still able to do more
Jorge
work than
Posada too was older.
Like, if Trout wants to win, he's got to leave. And if he doesn't, I think if he doesn't win, that's going to be the biggest stain on his career. And
yeah, he deserves a ring at this point with like everything he's done, like in his career.
But I don't think for maybe a few years he was the best player in baseball. And whether or not people want to agree with that or not, like he's not always been the best player when he's played. Mookie Betts has been the best player for like the last 3 years.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Since that MVP season, he's been on a mission.
And then if people want to say like, Jacob deGrom has been the best player in baseball, you got to think that that's a completely different aspect of the game. Now, Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer have been the best pitchers in baseball for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to try and argue with me on that, like go for it. I can just give you the stats, and it's just nobody compares.
Yeah, that's true.
Syndergaard has not been good in ever.
No, he was good like to start off like in his rookie season, but he had first couple of years and he kind of fell off. I mean Bauer, a lot of people were questioning Bauer, why he got that big monster deal, because again he played so good in a shortened season, right? RPM, I think the RPM, the RPM too.
Garrett Cole.
Houston,
Garrett Cole was doing stuff like, whether Jacob deGrom is or not, obviously they're not worried. They're not worried about testing him unless they have and nothing's come out of it. So, Max Scherzer, you gotta look at Justin Verlander too. Like Justin Verlander was a great pitcher when he was younger. Then he went through that spell where he needed to change the scenery. What happens? He goes and I think he had 2 no-hitters against the Blue Jays in like the same season.
Yeah.
Like,
he had the one. Yeah, he had the one no hitter.
And then didn't
against
he
the
do it
Jays
in
and
that?
then somebody else? Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. It was somebody else.
Yeah,
I don't know why I
still.
thought it was the J. I mean, it pretty
There
much
was
might
one.
as well have
There
been.
was one against the Jays.
Yeah, but it might as well have been both because the way
was
he
bad.
pitched against the Jays, it was bad. Like it was something
Yeah.
special to watch. And I think that was the first time I actually watched a game where the Blue Jays were losing that I was actually interested in it.
Yeah, me too.
Over the moon. Because I was always a Justin Verlander fan. I liked him when he was in Detroit, and
yeah, he was phenomenal in Detroit. He was so dominant too. Like we were all watching that game. My cousins and I were all watching that game when he got the no hitter because we're like, my uncle's a big Jays fan too. And I was like, yo, he's got a no hitter going. We're like, oh, let's turn it on, right? And we're like one of these family gatherings.
Just gotta watch it.
Yeah, and we're like, wow, can't believe that.
I find baseball though it can be hard to watch. Like it can be very, very boring.
Well,
if there's no action going. And then, but like at the same time, it's something that can really gather people together. Like I remember when the Blue Jays were in the playoffs, I remember just watching it with friends, like the playoffs, and it was just something special for sure.
The bat flip.
Yep.
Probably. Do you remember anything, Jacob? Like, do you remember what the city was like back then? And do you remember the vibe? It was something else though.
Yeah,
I remember.
Definitely.
I went to the one. I remember it was around the time. It was 2015, around the time when they clinched the playoff spot, and I went to Square One, just to like check out the mall. Bro, literally everybody I saw was wearing Jays gear, whether it be a jacket, it was a shirt, a baseball cap, you name it.
That's what I'll give to the city of Toronto. Like whether you support them or not, when the team's in the playoffs, everybody will just show support.
Yeah,
and you might want to consider them bandwagon fans or not.
They are though, but
in a sense they are. But they're not going to be like saying necessarily like, oh, I've been supporting them my entire life. Like, yeah, you might have been supporting them, but you're not supporting them in the sense like some people do.
Yeah,
You're just supporting them because they're from wherever you live.
Yeah,
and it's what
something
it is.
We can all relate on, right? And like I've always kind of said that too. Like I find like a lot of Toronto sports fans are like people just following a trend. Like when the Raptors were on the high, they won the NBA title, and again like everyone was talking about like the Raptors, and now like those same people like I know like they don't even give a shit anymore. So it's like it's like but at the same time it's like it's something that brings us all together. So I can't really knock it,
Yeah.
So yeah, boys.
Look at the Blue Jays in Seattle. They're like, it feels like a home game whenever they go to Seattle.
Yep.
So true. It's awesome though. You love to see it, and like they always travel. Jays fans love to travel, and even Leaf fans too, man. Leaf fans go to Florida, Montreal, Buffalo. Like all the close cities. So you like to see that. No, you totally like to see that. Yeah, boys. Well, yeah, man, it was a good episode, guys. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. But again, Mason, thanks for coming on the show again.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Great.
Nice to meet
definitely
you
come on whenever you want, buddy. Just give Jacob or I a message, and
I'll definitely send you our Instagram and Twitter account.
Yeah, for sure, buddy. All right, guys. Cool. To our viewers, thanks for joining us today. That was a very good episode. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed every bit of that. So, yeah,
that was good, man.
Beauty. All right, guys. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe to us on Twitter and Instagram and our YouTube channel. Oh man, that's a lot of words. Anyways, thanks for joining us, and thanks for watching Project 24, the fun podcast. And we are signing off.